Wokes
Wokes
on
on
air,
air, wokes on air,
Wokes on
wokes on
air,
air.
Wokes on air. This is the 11th episode of Wokes on air, starring
Akim-Maria and
Chidubem.
Chidubem.
We're here, guys. What's up?
This is the 11th episode, as you mentioned, concerning technology, Nigerian technology. It's almost there. We're almost at the end, the penultimate episode, Chidubem.
How are you, Wokes?
I'm good. A lot of attentive listeners would notice that we did not publish on the last Sunday, and this was due to some technical difficulties. Yeah, we had a burn adapter. Yeah.
Literally.
It came as a surprise. We weren't prepared for that. But I ordered a new one off the trusty Amazon, and here we are again, filling the world with
Ready to
amazing
shoot.
content. Exactly, ready to shoot.
Yep.
So yeah, Wokes,
On our
technology.
topic for today, technology. Yeah. Very interesting one. Very interesting one for a millennial. Talk about technology. It's a very beautiful topic. Saved our lives. Made life more interesting and convenient. And yeah, I think a good definition for technology that I always think of is, the ability to carry out activities in a more effective way with the use of digital help and electronics, etc. And yeah, I think that's the definition that comes to mind most. But even growing up in secondary school in Loyola, where I studied, my Intratech teacher the definition that my Intratech teacher gave us actually was just none, which was really just like a sentence. Technology is not a new thing in Nigeria, and so I think some people struggle to define technology. I think I kind of grew up accepting that people didn't really have the definition for it, but I think the definition I gave before is the one that I think comes to mind first. Yeah. Right. How about you?
Well, I understand your view of technology as something digital. It's as you mentioned, it's not necessarily been defined clearly in a lot of study areas that are not technology related, but still deal with technology. Before I continue, I actually wanted to just shout out to Oyekachi Onwuchekwa, who commented on our podcast of Nigerian integrity, which was the 10th episode, Mox?
It was the 9th episode.
The ninth episode. Yeah, the 10th episode was Nigerian religion. But yeah, he mentioned that the negative aspect of integrity is ingrained in Nigerians, and something drastic has to happen. What do you think about that opinion, Wokes? And what is the way forward in that regard?
The negative aspect of corruption is ingrained in our. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fact. Like that's really what it is. I always felt that way as well. But I also think that as ingrained as it is, it can always leave. We just need a revolutionary change of mindset. Correct.
Yeah. That's a very significant episode, and I think I'm gonna talk a little bit more about it in our concluding episode, which will be released next week. Yeah. So back to today's topic. Thank you so much, Onyekachi. Back to today's topic on technology. I checked Google with regards to Nigerian technology and defined technology as the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry. I agree with that definition strongly because I don't necessarily think that technology is limited to just machines. I think you can have biological technology as well.
Definitely.
Which can
medical technology.
Yeah, exactly. The chemical technology that's used to repair and heal us in the pharmaceutical industry and medical industry as well alongside the machinery. Google also mentioned that machinery and services developed from scientific knowledge can also be regarded as technology, and the branch of knowledge dealing with engineering or applied sciences is also called technology. But for the purpose of this discussion, for the purpose of this podcast, I'm going to just use that application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry. And I think when we look at it like that, Nigerian technology is being suppressed. I say it's being suppressed because Nigerians aren't really given the opportunity to come together on an industrial scale to actually use scientific knowledge for practical purpose. And that's because of all these things we've discussed in our previous recordings, with regards to Nigerian integrity, the rivalry of tribes. All these things are subverting Nigeria's potential to actually go out there and use scientific knowledge for any practical purpose. And if we were to actually um, apply this scientific knowledge for any practical purpose, we would be looking at very fundamental industries such as agriculture and the distribution network of this agricultural goods. I think that's where Nigerian technology would be mostly focused on at this point. I wanted to just go a little bit further to say that I've noticed that there's a trend in talking about Nigeria generally, which is like the potential Nigeria has to achieve things, and it goes with what I just read in an article by Sahara Reporters regarding Nigerian technology, saying where it said that there's a potential of Nigeria to using the right technology to produce food for about I can't remember the proportion of the population, but it talks about a lot of food, and as a result of that, it kind of shows us that all these negative effects that we talked about in our previous episodes, as earlier mentioned, are actually negatively affecting our technology, our Nigerian technology, and for me, that's a travesty. But we understand why that's happening, and hopefully, going forward, we can resolve this.
Yeah, I think technology is something, if used wisely, can resolve lots of problems. Essentially, that's what it's there for. So I think, for example, when you look at countries that are adopting, different systems of voting that are more effective, they are getting, well, at least they think they are getting fairer results, or at least they are trying their best to, increase the chances of result being fair and the election going fairly because of the system that they're adopting to conduct the elections. When you go into the field of education, the use of technology makes maybe studying and learning a bit more effective for people that have no choice but to learn from a distance or in non-traditional ways. And I think every country needs to think about adopting better systems of technology as they progress, because to be honest, technology is just the only way to make things easier for them, and in so many ways as well. I don't know if Nigeria has gotten that mentality in. I think yes, there's technology in Nigeria. We have mobile phones, we have the internet, things like that. But I find that it's not every place you go to in Nigeria, like important places, you go to the ministries and you go to like organizations and government run parastatals and things, and people are still using very old systems of recording things. Like they haven't really progressed in terms of how they store information at the administrative level, and I find that disturbing, because it's not because of money, because clearly the budget of the country can account for that. Like we can definitely afford that kind of comfort, but we're not doing that, and I wonder whether it's mentality, whether we still like the old school way of doing things, or we're just not comfortable with progressing in the way we do things in that aspect, or we don't think it's important. I don't know, but I find that it doesn't make any sense to keep with the past when people are moving on. So if like a radio broadcasting network is still trying to run their tapes physically, literally physically. Like a friend of mine told me that when she was doing her NYSC, she was working for NTA, and NTA still like she used to like run up to different floors to like give them the tapes to run it, and it's like, how have you guys not come to a system of managing your data collection where you don't have to do this like this? And I don't understand why Nigeria should be at that point with literally the NTA. So I think for me, I think for Nigeria, I would say that our technology levels haven't gotten to the point where they are most effective at all. And we have to think about ways in which we can resolve that, whether it's a change of mentality and mindset, or whether it's about apportioning more money to certain areas to improve technology. Yeah.
So if I'm just going to ask you a question here with regards to how the current state of the NTA, as you just mentioned, is functioning. So in a situation where we know that resources are being diverted, say for instance, somebody that runs the NTA or that's meant to supply the money to NTA is actually diverting the funds that are supposed to go into buying new equipment for association, for the company, for the distribution network, the TV network. Wouldn't that account for why the organization doesn't have the up-to-date state-of-the-art technology?
Like if the money is basically being taken somewhere else, that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think I mean, nobody really knows, what exactly the problem is, can be pointed so exactly. But I would assume that yes, that's a feasible explanation for that kind of thing. It would make sense for someone to say that it's because of lack of funds, like the funds are not going to the right place, and which is always something that is very typical in Nigeria, for funds to be taken to the wrong place. That's corruption, really. But I wonder if it's that or if it's something else. Essentially, that's the part where I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what it is. When I see blocks in technology, when I see people doing things in ways that they are not meant to be doing it in the 21st century, I ask myself: Is this technology, or is this your mindset? Is this just you, or is this you not wanting to progress, or is this your lack of ability? Which one is it? And that's the I haven't really answered, that with regards to certain aspects of Nigeria, because I'm not sure. And I wonder who is actually sure why.
I also, I think that's a good observation. Right? In addition to what you just said, with regards to what we've discussed over the course of this podcast series, I think if we look at it from a situation where it's outward appearance, okay, so let's say the director of NTA or whatever the case may be, this is me hypothesizing, but it can be tested, where there's no competition really, where nobody's really competing amongst distribution networks or TV networks, and the individual basically thinks that his technology is at a standard that nobody else in Nigeria is at. You know what I mean? So like, let's say they have a camera, a HD camera that dates back to 2010. If nobody else in Nigeria has that 2010 camera, based on the perception that nobody has a 2010 camera in Nigeria, there is no incentive for them to update it, and therefore it would be considered the best camera in any television network in Nigeria, because they're within Nigeria. There's no need to improve that. So anything that would come to fund a new camera will be diverted to elsewhere, whether it's to give the board of directors on the network a better salary or whatever the case may be. It could be used for that. So I think when you talk about improving or updating the technology, if the technology isn't being used for the right purpose, then there's no real incentive for the people that are in charge of those systems or structures to improve them, when the rest of the structures are not supporting technology, are not supporting improvement. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily that those people that are working within that establishment are at fault. It's that the system around them is not allowing them. The attitudes of people around them is not pushing them to improve in such a way. And then we look at it from a point of view where, okay, why are these, when we come out of Nigeria and we basically we intern at different broadcasting corporations and we see what they're doing there, and their culture is different, their institutions are different. We come back to Nigeria and we wonder, why are you guys doing this in this way when it's not that efficient? The point that I'm trying to make here is that the effectiveness, the productivity is not necessarily giving us what we've seen elsewhere. But from that outside perception within Nigeria, because there's nothing else to compare themselves to, that competition is not there for them to be motivated to change, because nobody else has what they have as a broadcasting network, and they're the biggest. They remain at number one in Nigeria for broadcasting and most watched. So why change? Why change? I think in that aspect, the technology is not going to develop, because the thing about technology is that you're trying to advance it to improve or serve the wider group or wider mass or wider area. You either want to extract more or you want to produce more with regards to what technology is helping you do. And if your technology is the best, the rivalry will kind of incentivize you to go and destroy the other person's technology rather than help them to succeed. The way it's set up in Nigeria, anyway. That's what I understand. That's the way I'm seeing it right now, based on our podcast conversations, based on all this information that we've been gathering. Technology is suffering in Nigeria, in my own humble opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think you have a point anyway. Like, one thing I think I got particularly from what you said is the lack of competition. Is definitely something that reduces motive, because when you are doing the best in the country, really, like, why should you improve or step up? if it's going to inconvenience you when nobody is really asking for it. Like, it's not like there's any compelling force to be like that when you're not comparing yourself to anything better. So it's fine. You're doing as well as you can be, because you're the gold standard as far as you're concerned within that jurisdiction. So I think, yes, like, if the NTA is not really comparing itself to anything in Nigeria that is making it feel like, oh, I have to improve my technology, then really, where is the incentive for them to do better or to improve or to advance themselves? Because it's not being demanded of them. And I think it has to be demanded of us to employ technology. And I think when it is demanded of us, we would begin to use higher forms of technology and find ways to be more efficient in everything that we do. And I'm looking out for a time when that those demands will be made on us, and that competition in the market would arise in different ways, and who knows how. Yeah,
I agree. One point I wanted to just add to this is that the society has to support technology. It has to support the science behind the technology. When the focus of the community is like embezzlement and rivalry rather than concentrating on progress, that's definitely going to have an impact on how science is viewed, on how technology is viewed and respected. And as a result, Nigeria is the way it is. The currency is suffering. The tribes are doing what they're doing. Institutions are the way they are, but they can all get better. That's the thing. It can definitely get better if we maintain that integrity that's needed. It's tough, Wokes, man. I'm just really it is. I just genuinely think about how Nigeria can progress on a regular basis, and if we're not working together, I don't think there's gonna be any movement. If we're not working together, because we're that big, we're that large, 25 million people in one tribe alone. So it's complex. It's complex, Wokes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you have a point. That's the reality of this thing. But we're not there yet, and we all hope to be there. We know how we're trying to find our way, trying to put heads together, come up with good ideas. Some people are not doing the same thing as us. They're just concerned about enjoying themselves, through the loopholes. Them trying to find ways to enjoy themselves and be more corrupt, and that's life. We'll get out of it soon.
Yeah. I think for me, it's not the fact that they're being corrupt that is the problem, but it's the fact that they're trying to avoid the consequences of that, or they're trying to push off the consequences. Because the thing is, if other people aren't prepared to, should I say, sustain those consequences of corruption, then when they're seeing other people being corrupt, they'll be like, yo, listen, I know you're gonna pass this off to someone else, so why are we letting you get away with this? We can't let you get away with this. The consequence of being corrupt is this. So please understand that you have to suffer those consequences, because nobody else wants to suffer that. And I think that speaks to integrity as well. You have to be the kind of individual that you say you are. So for instance, if you buy and sell goodness, you hope to receive goodness, right? You don't hope to receive bad in exchange. So if you sell bad, you can expect to receive bad in exchange. There's no way biologically I can think about doing bad to myself and expect to receive good. So why would I want that in reality for other people or for myself? Bad things have bad consequences. But yeah, it's just facing those consequences and holding people accountable for their actions.
Yep. That's what Okechukwu said. When you hold them to the consequences of their actions, open improve government officials in possible death penalty. Maybe they'll sit up. Who knows? Yeah.
Death penalty is a bit extreme, but
it's a bit extreme, definitely. But I think the concept of what he's trying to say is somewhat. I agree with that. Just not as extreme as that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is as extreme as death? I don't personally know, but what?
Nothing as I don't want. At the point I'm making, I don't want anything as extreme as that. As a death penalty, but I do want people to have consequences of their actions so that they don't do it again.
Yeah, even if it's to incentivize them to do something else that's more positive. So, for instance, the option of being corrupt is always there, but if you know that other option, the alternative to being corrupt is something even more positive, you're more incentivized to go and do that. So it's a situation of creating that situation that is more incentivized than the less than corruption. So yeah, I accept that. That's human nature to be a certain way. You can program yourself to be like that, but at the same time, there's always that positive outcome that people just genuinely want for each other. And as long as we try and strive for that. But yeah, that we've discussed a lot of things in this podcast that show why it's difficult to make that good choice. You know, for instance, the rivalry that's there. I think there's an unhealthy rivalry in Nigeria currently that needs to be addressed, and we need to come to terms with how to solve it. I think so.
Yeah.
Nwokes, Nigerian technology for me. That's done.
Done. Yep. Lovely topic. Good conversation.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
If you like
this, all the notes.
Pardon?
So we've hit all the notes. So left for the subscribers. Well, left for the listeners to do their bits and subscribe, like, comments, do everything they can.
Exactly.
Advertise, shout on the mountaintops, you know.
That's for sure. Shout on the mountaintop. If you click to subscribe, you also see a notification bell. Click that, and you receive notifications for when we publish the latest content.
Nigerian. And maybe one day you get candy.
Candy.
I think incentivize people more.
Are you endorsing that, Nwokes?
Maybe.
Okay.
The loyal listeners, who knows?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Till next week, this has been Nigerian Technology Nwokes on Air.
Bye.
Take care.